So welcome to another preview video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Grant.
And today we're playing a prototype copy of Patria Libre from Malinche
Games.
Malinche Games, sorry. Sorry. So this game is it's a 1 to 4 player war game about the struggle for Mexican independence. So this is, as you probably know, this is being funded currently through crowdfunding. It's on Kickstarter. Yes. And the game is more of an area control, kind of a coin style. It's nothing like that, but it's it's areas and guys and using different actions. It's not a hex encounter, not a point to point, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
But it's pretty unique, I think. The design is pretty unique. I think it addresses some elements of the, you have a couple of insurgent factions and then you're fighting against, Spain and the government. You're trying to gain your independence. So there's a lot of unique elements here.
Yes, so there you can play this solo. There's a whole solo mode with a solo deck. You can play it 2-player, which is what we did, where one person plays the Royalists and one person plays kind of the major insurgent faction. Or you can play it 3 or 4 players, where you add in more insurgent factions.
Yeah.
And when you play with 4 players, it's kind of a 3v1. All the insurgent players score on the same victory track, but you'll have kind of more limited forces, maybe. It's harder to do things because the spaces are taken up. Very interesting to play at 4-player. But as a 2-player experience, head-to-head...
While we didn't play at 4-player, I can really see some great things here.
I think
in a 4-player game. I think it'll be very cool.
So this is a topic I didn't really know, frankly, anything about. So it was nice to kind of see some of the names, some of the places, and look at, what some of the victory spaces were, what was important, where the different mines were, where you could get more money, where the resources are. So it was an interesting little learning experience as well. But when you play this game, it's like a nice kind of a hybrid game between a war game and a Euro game. So you've got these order tokens.
Double-sided.
4 of them, and they're double-sided. And so you're going to start the game with these 4 orders face up, and then you're going to place an order out and kind of do what it says in that area. And then you're going to do another one, you go back and forth. And then when you take them all back, it's kind of worker placement-esque in that way. You flip them over to the other side. And then you're going to use those orders. Or you can take a turn to kind of flip the ones over you've got. So a lot of the real core of the game is manipulating these order tokens. Or, using your cards instead of those.
Yeah, because the cards have the same order icons on them, just they're in different...
Yeah.
You might be able to do this one by paying a coin or
something totally different where you're limited to a specific region to do a thing.
Yeah.
So, it's manipulating all of your cards and your orders to kind of that's the engine of the game, and then on the board you're trying to put units out, upgrade the units to better strength, move them, do attacks, gain support, buy more cards, things like that as well.
The thing that I like about that kind of order, dual-sided order thing is there's always something you want to do on the other side and you just can't, you can't get to it. So you're looking at your plans, I'm like, oh boy, it'd be really great to build a fortress because you're getting ready to attack me, but guess what? The buy the card one is up now. So the thing I liked about the way they implemented this is you can flip these over, and that's kind of your action.
Yeah, but that's all you do.
Yeah.
And if time's of the essence, you're like... Ugh.
But at the right moment, that can be really decisive.
Yes.
Where I had you cornered, and I'm like, oh, I really want to eliminate those guys because I want to control this region because it's going to come up and it's going to score. I'm going to flip this over. I know it takes my whole turn, but I don't think you're going to be able to get away, and I'm going to try to attack you. And I like that. I like the programmed order. We played a lot of games like that. They're always, they always put like the move and the fight on different sides of, and that's great because you shouldn't be able to in these style of games, which is an insurgency with a poorly funded insurgent player and a overly funded government player. You shouldn't be able to just do whatever you want at any time.
Yeah, it represents some of the logistics and the clunk and the time
coordination
and the effort and coordination of making everything and getting it to go. And that way you're not blitzing across the board and doing things which seem silly.
Yeah. So that's a very good part of the design, and I enjoyed trying to figure out how I'm going to use those to get done what I wanted to get done. This is not a combat-heavy game. You're going to kind of do combat here and there just to control an area, a region.
You bump off a couple strength points of a guy so that you then control it. And part of the reason it's not combat-heavy, not a lot of cards allow you to do combat, right?
No.
You've got 1 in 8 of your actions can allow you to do combat.
And then usually
your leader's got it, and then you might buy one other character that's got it on there. So it's not just like fight, but again, those coin style games rarely are. It's all about moving guys, control, getting your popularity up to trigger all of those extra bonuses, to allow you to do these things that if you were just using your orders would be so slow.
Oh yeah. Manipulating this with the popularity, being like, oh, I really want to move up on this track because I want to do a movement.
Yes.
So it's like, oh, I one of the guys I had I could recruit, and then I would get a popularity. It was like he was rallying the cause. So it's like, oh, I want to move again. So I move up, and I'm able to take that action. Very cool. The other thing that I don't know that we talked a lot about when we were going through the rules, these represent the different kind of factions, the church, the government. It's kind of cool how these little areas are somewhat thematic with those elements. But it is about manipulating the popularity board, understanding these orders. And then, frankly, I thought the best part was the cards. Very cool.
Yeah, so the cards, it's like you'd said when we were playing this, it's a very PAX-style market. Mm-hmm. You've got a row of 4 cards, each of which kind of, the way they're priced is very interesting.
It is. It's 2, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. So if you wait till things are at the very end, they get a bit more expensive again.
Yeah.
Which is so cool.
Yeah.
But then you've got this seeded deck of cards that is going to fill that up, 5 of which are these supply and victory point scorings that you get. Like, when this card comes off the board, it triggers a supply phase and a scoring phase.
Yeah.
And you can't buy it, but you know that's coming up, and you know it's going to score in that particular colored region, and all this stuff. So, and with the economy being reasonably tight, especially I think if you're playing a multiplayer game.
Oh yeah, you're not going to have a glut of coin.
That gave me a similar type of feel to the PAX Premier that we've played.
Because PAX Premier, it's a closed economy, right?
Yes.
So you have like 12 coin in the game, and they just go from player to player, because I'm going to buy this card, and then I'm going to reserve this card, or
if you get them all out, you're like, oh, no one has any money.
Yeah, exactly.
This one is a little bit more open. You're not putting coins on the cards that other people can collect, but you still, raising money's hard, and you will spend money because you need to buy cards, or you need to supply your troops, which is often going to cost you money. But that's a nice aspect of it as well.
Yeah.
But with all of those things combined, area control, the order selection and placement, and the card market, it made me feel, less of like a hardcore war game, a bit more of those hybrid style
It's a hybrid,
games in the middle. You still got to go out and do conflict.
Yep.
So it's very much going to sit in that kind of middle spot between those two games.
Well, and the way the scoring is set up, you're going to score based on these cards throughout the game for all different types of things. For controlling, the bell region, which refers to this side of the board. When that card comes out, whoever controls the most of those is going to get a point, and then there's other ones. It's like recruit a guy in this area, and you get a point or two. So I really liked how that scoring was varied. It was really varied, was not the same, and you really had to plan for it. So, at first we were like fighting over these areas and trying to control those, but then later in the game we were like, forget that, let's move.
And then it can move.
Yep, and I like that because it keeps it kind of fresh. These come out kind of in a varied order because didn't we take half the deck out, put them back in the box?
Like almost half of it, yeah.
So there's a lot of different guys here, different types of abilities, different events, so it's always going to be varied. But it's not the same game every time, and I think that's also one of the strengths of this design and concept. Playing this, I literally just felt like I was taxed because I'm trying to think about things 2 and 3 cards ahead, trying to make sure I'm doing what I need to do. That was fun.
Yes.
It kept me involved. It kept me interactive. I was a little disappointed in the combat. You had made a good comment about the combat.
Yeah, so the combat is very simple. When you place an attack order, you put it in an area where both of you are, and
or adjacent if you have artillery.
Yeah, but I place it in the area, and I target one of your troops there, and it just loses 1 strength point.
Yeah.
That's all it is. There's no dice rolling. There's no modifiers or anything like that. You just do that. The artillery can shoot adjacent, which is very strong. The horses can move 2 spaces.
Very strong as well.
But it's that very coin style,
you remove
I activate my ability, you take a loss.
Yeah.
There's no exchange, there's no dice rolling, there's no failure. It's just a manipulation of the strength points there.
And that creates, in my opinion, a really strategic... you have to think about it. Yeah, it's very chess-like. You have to think about, how am I going to do what I need to do, manipulate the cards that I have, because in reality, you can get 2 or 3 attacks in a turn if you have the right cards.
Yes.
Meaning the right characters. And hard to do.
Well, and
it's not easy.
If you stack up on attack orders, you don't have any move orders.
No.
So getting a balance is really important.
Yep.
But there comes a point where we're sharing an area. I had 1 more strength point than you. I do 1 attack just to bump you down, just so I'm not afraid that you're going to somehow surge into the lead.
Yeah.
I don't have to attack you anymore.
No.
Right?
No.
Because I know you don't have an attack order ready, or an upgrade order ready, or so you can be a little bit more I don't need to wipe the whole stack. I just need to maintain control.
Sure, yeah. But I think the difference there is, for instance, my leader, Hidalgo, of this insurgency, had an attack on him. You had a Calejo, which was your leader, or Caleja. And I think there was another, if I remember correctly, that I saw. Yeah, this one also had an extra attack. So imagine I had a couple of those, and I had the cloning order, where it's I had some coin and I could take those orders again. You would have to worry about it, and it would create some angst.
Yes.
But remember, you only got 4 orders per turn.
You've got 4 orders, and
you've got other things to do.
A hand of 5 cards, and if you've got all those, then you you have fewer moves, so I can see you coming a mile away.
Yeah.
I'm gonna maybe vacate that area, or I'm gonna build some fortresses because you're gonna be slow. It's a really interesting balancing act between the types of orders that you're trying to buy from the market and enhance what your capabilities are. And then, there's whole matching stuff when you buy cards. There's little colors and letters on them that you can match when you buy it, and it matches. Their allegiances match, so people like it. So your popularity can go up, and so there's a tiny element of set collection in that as well. If you can get a good ability and it matches, you're like, sweet, I got a good card.
You get some
I
bonuses.
get a free little bonus of popularity. Neat little nuance in that.
And I feel like that's very thematic of, I don't know much about this, but once again, it's a classic insurgency. Underfunded, underpowered, rebels are kind of running around trying to beat the government, and using these things and manipulating them to the best of your ability, and doing that pendulum thing where you get to the top and then you go back down to the middle. Then you have the opportunity to take all those actions again that were so good. So I like that. It felt very thematic, because it's like I'm worrying about population or popularity because I want these things to move up. So I was trying to take those kind of actions, and it just was interesting.
And there's some nice little chromey bits where if I've got a higher strength point than you and I attack you, the people are like, "Oh, it's so underhanded. These big guys just crushing the little guy."
Yeah.
The general populace doesn't like that, and so you lose the popularity for doing that. So you want to keep.
So don't roll in with a bunch of artillery and just be smacking the other guy around.
You're almost incentivized to throw one guy in.
Yeah.
To do a damage. Because he's going to die eventually, but you'll lose the popularity.
Yeah.
I throw another guy in later, maybe.
Yeah.
And if you've got a big death stack going around, you're going to hurt yourself doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think lots to like here. I'd love to play it with the 4 players and just see how that goes. And that may be where this game's sweet spot is. At 4 players, because you're going to have the insurgency interacting with each other, and it's going to have some new opportunities to kind of barter and learn and grow together and try to defeat the enemy.
Yes.
Just very cool. There's also some instant win conditions that are very hard for the insurgents. a little simpler for the government, but still not easy. You have to control 3 different territories that are kind of in the heart of the insurgency.
Yeah, you gotta control these. They've got flags on them. Like 3, if you control all of those, that you've just those are like the strongholds of the opponent. Then you win. If you've got 10 more victory points than the opponent, you win. But doing that's hard.
Yeah,
because outscoring people, you might outscore someone on 1 card, but hopefully that's happened because you've been prepping for the next card, which you can see.
Yep.
And so you're like, I'm already losing this, so
Yeah.
I'm just going to maybe get 1 there, but I'm going to invest really heavily in the other one whilst you're investing in this. I'll get
Absolutely.
the points next time to kind of bring that back
and we
into
saw
alignment.
that. The first one you're like, oh, you got them all, and then the next one I scored more, and that was cool. I do like that you can see that. You can prep for
Always
that.
like that.
You know that's coming, so you got to work on it. That is a very Euro style mechanic, kind of seeing what the victory conditions are and understanding, and then trying to get those for this turn or this round.
Yeah, even in Twilight Struggle, where you're like, okay, Europe's already scored, South America's already scored.
Don't need to worry about
We
them.
know that it's going to be Asia probably soon, so I'm going to do a bit more there and worry less about this because that already scored.
But you don't want to let that go because you don't want to have to rebuild because Europe is a big scoring.
Yes. Now in this one, the scoring doesn't come back up.
No,
but it's
they're
that
gone.
same okay, this is done with. I don't have to worry about this as much. Let's move on and fight over here instead.
Yeah.
And I would presume that the scoring of those is done based on the historical flow of the fighting and the campaigns that were done.
Got it.
Because there'll be more fighting over where the scoring's going to be.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a progression of the fights were here earlier, and later in the war they were over here. I don't know, but
then again, if you look at the map, certain areas have a mine in them. And that means when you tax there, you get extra money. So you're going to fight over those territories a little bit so you can control them, tax them, I hate to say that, and get more money. And then there's also VP places. Mexico, which is the capital there, I mean, it has 2 victory points. That's worth a lot. So trying to hold that for the insurgents.
But it doesn't score until the mid game.
No, you're right.
I don't need to worry about it too much. Just have 1 guy in there for a bunch of time.
Well, you don't want to abandon it. Just keep a guy there so that you can't walk in and just take it.
But that's what this kind of game is about. Your piece, the amount of pieces on the board isn't going to be that many because many of them are going to be abandoned.
Well, you have to pay for them, right? You have to pay for them either in popularity or your coin, and you just don't have that much.
And you pay for them or they leave, and you do that before you score.
Yeah.
So you can't just be like, oh, I score a bunch of points and everyone goes home.
Yeah, you got to pay them.
You got to keep them on the board, and you pay with gold, which is hard to come by, or popularity, which is even harder to come by.
I feel like you got up on this track once.
Yes.
And it was hard. You had to kind of focus on that.
Yeah, and which
was cool.
It's fun to do, but it's very difficult.
Yeah.
And keeping a huge army, very hard.
Oh, yeah.
And so, again, it plays into the whole insurgent aspect where it's like, no, you can't dominate this board. It's almost impossible. So you're doing a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there.
Yep.
And that's
you're going to fight.
Very enjoyable.
The reality is you're going to fight over, 3 little territories that make up a region all over the board. There's
you're gonna over here,
1,
over here,
2, 3. There's 5 of them. And the fighting's going to go from there to over here, and that's just the way it is, and it's kind of cool. Keeps everybody off balance.
Yeah.
But once again, you can see it coming, so you kind of know, I gotta plan for over there. So I really like that. The other thing I really liked about this game, the art I think is very, very good.
Oh, I agree, absolutely. Yes.
The board is very good. I think it's got a nice style. Looks like an old style map in some ways. Not colorful, right? It's got some light tan and gray and darker brown, but it looks good. I like it.
Having a more muted map when you've got all these cards and
colorful pieces,
I appreciate that, where it's not like an assault on the eyes.
Well, and here's the lime green faction.
Well, these are prototype. I don't know if they look like that.
But there's some color there.
Yeah.
So having it muted on the map probably was a good choice.
But the artwork on the cards are historical paintings.
Yep.
And I don't know if these are actual portraits of these people.
No,
someone's done them.
I think
they're all
someone's done
style.
them. Yeah, I think someone's done most of these.
But it's those people.
Yeah, they're cool.
But they've hired someone to do, a portrait of each one of them. They're great. The card style is great.
And they're round. I mean, how many games do you play
Yeah.
that have round cards? And why are they round? Well, the order markers are round with a little tab, and you kind of put these over and lay them down. So very cool graphic design, I think, here. I think it all works together, and I just love the art. I love the look. I'm interested to see this game in its final form because the pieces are really great, too. You've got the cavalry that's, like you said, it's a knight,
it's
right?
A horse, yeah.
From chess. You got the cannon, which I thought initially when I saw it, I was like, what is that? A cloud with a banner hanging out? And I'm like, oh, it's turned upside down. That's kind of funny, the fun. And then you got your little caballeros, cowboys, soldiers. So very well done on the graphic design, the art, the colors.
Yeah, I think final production is going to be real nice.
I don't know. I think this is worth looking into, and if you like these style of games, I think this is going to appeal to a lot of people.
Oh, the one thing I really, really want in this final product is a history book.
Yes. Who is Anastasio Bustamante?
Give me a paragraph on every single one of the characters in this. Yeah. There is a lot of them.
Something to learn.
And so few of us know a lot about this conflict. And it will be a really great learning opportunity. So I hope that they do that.
Yeah.
Because it was interesting. And, the rule book calls out like, oh, this guy can do this, which thematically, because of this. And you're like, cool, I want to know more about that.
Yeah.
And about all of the characters.
Yeah.
So I think that would be something I really would look for in this game. And I really hope that they do that.
So if you're interested in this, obviously it's on Kickstarter.
Yes.
I have an interview that I believe Saul put on the campaign page, but you can read that. Kind of goes into the design process, what he was trying to do, what he was trying to accomplish, some of the rules. But they've got some nice playthrough videos that help you understand the game. I think the rules, they are translated, so they're gonna need some editing, but they're not final, right?
Yeah,
this is a prototype
we played with, so polish that up and you should be fine.
This is a game I think that will sit on my shelf by a game like The Shores of Tripoli.
Sure. From
Fort Circle Games. Similar style, similar, a historical treatment in a Euro style way
I know what you're saying.
Of a historical event. So if you like Shores of Tripoli, I think this game is kind of similar to that.
I want to get 4 people for this.
I do.
I think when we get the final production
we will try to get 4 people.
I think that could be so interesting.
Yeah.
I just think that dynamic of a 3-on-1
would be very cool.
Because
once again,
interesting.
3 different factions all scoring together, and you're managing.
But they're all scoring not very much.
No, they're not, because you can't control much because you're going to have 1 or 2 guys out.
When everyone's going to be on top of each other.
Yeah,
it'll
be interesting.
Very interesting to see what that looks like.
Yeah,
but Patria Libre from Malinche Games.
There you go. You said it better this time. Yes.
Check it out. Something you're interested in.
Yeah.
Read through the campaign. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I've been Alexander for theplayersaid.com.
And I'm Grant.